are back in the Big A. D-backs won an exciting game here last night, and now a chance to take both games from the Angels as the D-backs square off once again with Trout, Pujols and company. Glad you're with us for the D-backs and the Angels on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Angel Stadium, and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly along the way. D-backs got a win here last night behind 3 home runs, some sensational defense, and solid starting pitching from Zach Greinke. And Bob, tonight they look for more of the same from Matt Cook.
You know, partner, there's a saying in this game, it's not how you pitch, it's when you pitch, and that's worked extremely well from Matt Cook over his last 4 starts, a perfect 3-0 record. But to look at the ERA, 4.70, opponents hitting 291 in those 4 games. His offense put up 36 runs for him in those 4 games, so hopefully they'll do the same for Matt here tonight.
Not a lot of wiggle room here to make mistakes against this Angels lineup. In action at first base tonight after DHing last night, the great Albert Pujols. And let's take a step back here for a moment and remember we're witnessing one of the all-time greats.
A future Hall of Famer, no question about it. Not bad for a 13th round draft pick by the St. Louis Cardinals back in the '99 draft. He made his major league debut in 2001. And will end up atop the leaderboard in every important offensive category before all is said and done.
A chance to take both these games from the Angels before it's on to Pittsburgh starting on Thursday. D-backs baseball coming up next on Fox Sports Arizona.
D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By Tire Pros of Arizona, everything rotates around you. And by your Valley Honda dealer, where you'll get more standard features for less money.
By Gila River Hotels and Casinos. The card by Gila River Casinos earns you rewards 10 times faster than ever before. Sign up for the card today. Well, last night here, D-backs scored early, hung on for the 7-4 win. Tonight they hand the ball to Matt Cook to take on the Angels. First pitch next on Fox Sports Arizona. have a chance tonight to take both games in this quick two-game visit. And here's the D-back starting lineup presented by your Valley Chevy dealer.
John Jay once again leading it off out in right field. Paul Goldschmidt batting second, playing first base. Jake Lamb will be across the diamond at third. David Peralta out in left field. Daniel Descalso once again the designated hitter. Ketel Marte will be at second base. John Ryan Murphy doing the catching tonight with Nick Ahmed at short. Gerard Dyson in center field, and Matt Cook, the right-hander, on the mound.
Your Ram Truck starting pitcher for the Angels is 28-year-old right-hander Felix Pena, who makes his first ever major league starts. These are his career numbers in the big leagues, his numbers this season. Pena has worked only as a reliever to this point, acquired by the Angels from the Cubs last October.
The 11th different starting pitcher already this season for the Angels, and this guy reportedly has a big arm, throws a four-seam fastball, will try to sink it from time to time. Good slider, good changeup, but not always sure exactly where it's going when it leaves his hand.
A look around the diamond at the Angels defense tonight. That's presented by E.D. Marshall Jewelers.
Yeah, real Diamondbacks feel to the Angels outfield. Chris Young, former D-back in center. Justin Upton, another former D-back in left. Cole Calhoun once again in right field. It'll be David Fletcher at third. Andrelton Simmons at short. Ian Kinsler at second base. Albert Pujols playing first tonight with Martin Maldonado behind the plate for right-hander Felix Pena.
The crew chief, Jerry Lane, calling the balls and strikes behind the plate. Jordan Baker's our first base umpire. Vic Carapazza at second, and Greg Gibson is at third. There's a slider from Pena to John Jay. We're underway. And John Jay drives one the other way. Upton can't make the catch off his shoe tops, and once again, John Jay is aboard to start us off. Time now, Bob, for your Valley Honda dealer's key to the game.
Well, it's an abbreviated two-game series, but sweep!
Well, Jay started things off last night with a single. Goldie followed with a two-run homer. Here he is. 265, leading the D-backs with those 15 home runs. Buckled him a bit with a slider. This was Goldie last night. Two batters in. I'm sorry, Bob. Two
After
batters
a
in.
leadoff single to the opposite field by John Jay, he took one deep to straightaway center just over the glove of Mike Trout. Feels a lot like this game, too. Leadoff single to the opposite field by John Jay.
Let's follow the same script. Good slider there, and it's 0-2. Goldie homered and walked last night, drove in 2 runs. He's now got 7 homers in his last 11 games. Felix Pena signed out of the Dominican Republic by the Cubs back in '09. He pitched parts of the last 2 years in Chicago, all out of the bullpen, and was dealt to the Angels last October for a player to be named. Mike Scioscia's pitching staff is in disarray right now, and they're trying to get things sorted out, so they turn to Pena tonight. He's appeared in only 2 games, as we showed you a moment ago, both in relief. Albert Pujols playing some defense tonight over there at first. Fastball at 94. Maldonado hangs on to the foul tip. There's a strikeout for Pena.
We're told he's got a fastball that will average 93, 94, occasionally can hupping up in the higher 90s. I also mentioned he tries to throw a two-seamer with some sinking action, varying degrees of success.
Jake Lamb playing third, batting third tonight. 209, 5 homers. He was 0 for 5 last night. it's another beautiful night here in Los Angeles. You can't ask for better baseball weather than we've had here in Anaheim.
We mentioned Albert Pujols getting the start at first base tonight, and it might behoove some of the Diamondbacks hitters that are able to do so to try to bunt a ball that direction. We saw Albert running the bases last night, and he does a lot of things well, but at this stage of his career, running and changing directions quickly is not one of them.
That one gets behind Maldonado as Pena yanked a changeup and Jay moves up. Now we saw Jose Fernandez, the Cuban defector, at first base for the Angels last night. Wild pitch charged to Felix Pena. Pena has been starting in AAA for the Angels Coast League team in Salt Lake. He's made nearly 90 career minor league starts. So this isn't entirely new for him, but his first big league start here tonight. This is slicing the other way and out of play. 2-2. Felix Pena, last pitch for Salt Lake, June the 8th, so it's been 10 days, give or take. And he pitched pretty well. 6 scoreless innings in a start against New Orleans. Gave up just 5 hits. And if you're wondering how deep is he going to go tonight, he did throw a season high 84 pitches in that ball game. So they're hoping for best case scenario, at least 5 innings. A lot of sliders so far.
That's a pretty good slider too. Has a lot of downward action, throws it in the low to mid 80s. Well, at the major league level, you have to be able to command at least one of your pitches. Usually it's the fastball, and you're maybe a little inconsistent with your secondary stuff, but so far it looks like he's got more confidence in that slider for strikes than fastballs for strikes.
3-2 to Jake Lamb. This one's headed close to the same spot over there. Jake has looked a little off balance at the plate lately. Struck out in his first 3 at-bats last night. Drives that the other way. Upton will play it on a hop. They'll stop Jay at third. Jake Lamb, a 1-out single.
Sounded like he might have hit that off the end of the bat. Yes, indeed he did, which is fortunate. It got out there and died in front of Justin Upton. But because Upton's so shallow when he gets to the ball, no chance to send John Jay home that time.
So they're on the corners for the D-backs. 1 out for David Peralta. A chance to score first and early again. David 277, 14 homers. D-backs last night got 2 in the first and 1 more in the second. They had the early 3-0 lead. Ooh. Jerry Lane gives Pena that strike call off the plate. 0-1 on Peralta, who singled last night. Chops that one to shortstop. Simmons, Kinsler for 1. Peralta beats it out. Jay scores, and the D-backs take a 1-0 lead.
I had a scout tell me one time that that is the best time to get a time on a runner from home plate to first base. Runners at first and third, 1 out. You know if you beat it at first, you're going to get an RBI. Your team's going to get a run. A A lot of scouts like to see that situation so they can get accurate times, the fastest times on a guy down that first baseline. David got his feet a little crossed up there last couple steps before hitting the bag, but just does get on the base before the ball's in Pujols' mitt.
A run is on the board. Here is the DH for the second night in a row, Daniel Descalso. Another slider from Pena's in there. Descalso, 278. He's got 8 home runs. Singled and scored a run as the DH last night. Fastball down and away is a strike. Caught the corner, says Jerry Lane. 0-2. High fastball. Yes, he went, says Greg Gibson. D-back strike first. The early lead for Matt Cook here in Anaheim. Scores to lead off the ball game. The early lead for your Ram Truck starter for the D-backs, the right-hander Matt Cook. 5-3, a 4.09 ERA. Matt is unbeaten in his last 4 starts.
Yeah, wins against the Reds, the Marlins, no decision against the Colorado Rockies in a Diamondbacks win, and then he beat the Mets his last time out. Went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs on 3 hits in that ball game.
Second baseman Ian Kinsler leads it off for the Angels. Fastball's a strike. The veteran Kinsler batting .224, 9 homers. This is hit deep to left field and gone. Ian Kinsler starts it off for the Angels, his 10th, and we're tied at 1. That's one thing we've seen that's become more and more consistent. Hard contact against Matt Cook.
And hard contact usually results in something bad. Oh, man. Center cut just above the knees. Ian Kinsler has a lot of pop for a leadoff hitter, and he demonstrates it right here.
One ball game, and now you deal with Trout, Upton, and Pujols coming up. Mike Trout, .332, and leading the majors in home runs and OPS. Second leadoff homer this year for Kinsler. There's a strike. Mike Trout on base 4 times last night, but did not score. He singled twice, walked twice. Boy, Ian Kinsler, that is a career leadoff homer number 48.
Wow.
For Ian Kinsler. That's a whole bunch, yeah. There's the cut fastball, tailing away from the right-hand batter. It's 2-2 on Trout.
You mentioned Trout reached base 4 times in the ball game last night. The one he did not reach base was probably the biggest at bat of the game for the Angels. Came up with a couple runners on base and swung at the first pitch and hit an easy ground ball to second base.
Yeah, Mike Trout leading the majors in walks, in runs scored, and on base percentage. He has walked more than he struck out this year. Here's the 3-2 for Matt Cook. Boy, Matt gave him a fastball right down the middle. Torey Lovullo, in talking to Torey before the game today, looking for Matt to keep the ball down, elevate up in the zone when he's supposed to. He left that one in a bad spot and got away with it. Tried the cutter away, caught the strike zone. Jerry Lane didn't like it. Another walk for Trout. Here's the Angels lineup. Valley Chevy Dealers presents that.
Ian Kinsler, the second baseman, led it off with a home run. Mike Trout, the DH, draws a walk. Justin Upton will be out in left field. Albert Pujols at first base tonight. Andrelton Simmons at shortstop. Cole Calhoun out in right field. Martin Maldonado once again behind the plate. Chris Young will be out in center field. David Fletcher at third base, and Felix Pena, the right-hander, on the mound.
The former D-back Justin Upton walked and homered last night. He knocked in 2 runs. D-backs have the shift on. Fastball at the knees is a strike. Upton 255, now 16 homers. He would have driven in a whole lot more last night had it not been for another sensational catch by Gerard Dyson in deep center. Here's a look at the shift against Upton. Fastball in, 1-1.
Yeah, not sure if it would have been a home run or not, but certainly at least 2 runs, possibly 3 score if Dyson doesn't make that catch in center field. Mike Trout was the runner at first base, and he was almost all the way to second when Dyson made that catch.
On the ground into the shift. Ahmed, Marte, and they turn the double play. A look around the diamond at the D-backs defense tonight, brought to you by E.D. Marshall Jewelers.
Zumbaya, Gerard Dyson out in center field. John Jay in right. David Peralta in left field. The left side of the infield will be Jake Lamb and Nick Ahmed. Ketel Marte and Paul Goldschmidt on the right side, with John Ryan Murphy doing the catching for right-hander Matt Cook. Yeah, that was another one of those awkward double plays from that exaggerated pull shift, and Nick Ahmed and Ketel Marte are getting pretty good at that play. I mean, it's odd. You got both guys playing on the shortstop side of second base, but Ketel has to run to the bag from that position and kind of look back over his right shoulder to take the throw from Nick, and they've done it twice in the last 2 days.
First pitch curveball to Pujols, who had a homer here last night. Yeah, they got some pretty good defenders out there. Hard to third, foul. And Matt Cook jumps ahead 0-2.
Not only an exaggerated pull shift, but Nick Ahmed is positioned out in shallow left field from his shortstop position. This is everything to do with the speed of the runner at the plate. Nick feels like he can still throw Albert Pujols out from where he is right now.
There's a little tapper that Marte will handle from the shortstop side. And Matt Cook is out of the first, but Kinsler's 10th ties the game at 1. World Cup action continues tomorrow. 3 great games coming your way on Fox and FS1. Ronaldo and Portugal face off with Morocco at 4 a.m. on FS1. World Cup tomorrow, Fox FS1. Stream it all live on the Fox Sports app. And for more, we turn to our intrepid World Cup reporter and correspondent, Bob Brenly.
What can I say? Big upset today. Senegal 2-1 over Poland. Nobody had that one in the brackets. And Japan 2-1 over Colombia, the first Asian team to beat a South American team in World Cup play. How about that?
And I'm sure that you've adjusted your bracket accordingly.
Yes, I have. Every day, every game.
The picks always turn out to be right. It's a foolproof system.
Yeah, if you bet on the team that's leading late in the final game, you got a good chance to win your pool.
Ketel Marte leads off the second against Felix Pena. Ketel walked in homered here last night. Slider missed. 2-1. Good take there. Lays off the fastball up and away. 3 balls and 1 strike. John Ryan Murphy on deck.
Of course, big concern over Neymar. Injured his ankle in practice. Practice?
We talk about practice. Had 4 years to practice. What are we doing? Leadoff walk for Marte. First walk issued by Pena. The catcher tonight, John Ryan Murphy. John Ryan at 250. He's got 8 homers. Gives him the high strike call with that slider. 0-1. D-backs 8 games over 500 at 40-32. Game and a half ahead of the Dodgers for the National League West Division lead. As Todd mentioned on the pregame show, Dodgers won the opener of their doubleheader over the Cubs earlier today. Despite the fact they had 3 Dodgers ejected from that ball game. Matt Kemp, the manager Dave Roberts, Yasmani Grandal, all tossed by plate umpire Trip Gibson for arguing balls and strikes.
You're not allowed to do that.
Apparently not. But then Kyle Farmer came up, pinch hit, 2-run 9th inning double that won the ball game. And so it's a game and a half cushion for the D-backs as we start tonight. Giants are 5.5 off the pace. Rockies are 6 back. San Francisco hosts the Marlins tonight. Colorado is home against the Mets.
Game 2 of that Dodger doubleheader in Chicago. Kenta Maeda against Tyler Chatwood in that game.
Dodgers starting to make some noise. LA has won 22 of its last 29. One and 2 on the D-backs catcher. Been quite a different story for Mike Scioscia's Angels. They have lost 3 in a row. 7 of their last 8. They're now a season high 10.5 games back in the AL West, trailing both Houston and Seattle. Scioscia was saying after the game last night, we need to get our house in order. Things are a little messed up here. Got a lot of injured players. 13 guys on the DL right now. They just got Cole Calhoun back yesterday. Andrelton Simmons came back over the weekend. And it's hard to know what to expect from Pena tonight. He could turn in a solid performance. He could implode at any moment. There's just no way to tell. Making his first career major league start. Murphy fouls off the fastball.
Hey, partner, do you know what this is?
That, I believe, is a helicopter.
That's a high chopper.
Once a year. Once a year. Now, see, the beauty of that is you had to get on your little call box, ask the truck to get a shot of the helicopter. Brian Moss obliges because he doesn't know any better. Fell right into your trap.
That's good once a year.
It is. The great ones never get old. Caught looking at a fastball. 3 strikeouts for Pena. 1 down in the second. Should I be concerned there's a police helicopter hovering over the ballpark? That's the bigger question.
Well, I think we're safe.
All right.
For the time being.
Here's Nick Ahmed. Now with 10 home runs, a new career high for Nick. Walked, singled, and homered last night. Marte still at first after the leadoff walk. Swing and a miss to the fastball down and in.
That's that 2-seam sinker that Pena will occasionally try to run down and into a right-handed hitter. As I mentioned earlier, varying degrees of success, but that was a real good one right there, first pitch to Nick.
Nick had the homer in the 8th inning last night that went off the glove of center fielder Mike Trout. Trout is the DH here tonight. They've got Chris Young in center, former D-back. Good slider, 0-2, although it looked like the ball was already over the fence when it hit off Trout's glove.
It was just kind of shocking because we're also used to seeing Mike Trout do cartwheels on top of the wall before he makes catches on potential home run balls, and it seemed to be a relatively easy play as far as Mike Trout goes, and just couldn't come up with it.
It's a sliding scale, certainly.
Yes, indeed.
Well, through the first 8 batters he's faced, Pena has gone 0-2 on 4 of them. So he's doing a good job getting ahead in counts here. And he strikes out Ahmed, got him to chase his slider. He's punched out 4.
I think the Diamondbacks are a little surprised about his slider command in this game. He's thrown it for strikes when he's wanted to. He's led the Diamondbacks hitters out of the zone when he's wanted to. Yeah, we had heard about that big fastball. Maybe the Diamondbacks hitters are looking for that big fastball, and he's crossing them up with that slider.
He's thrown it a whole bunch so far. Dyson bats 9th in center field. Gerard had an RBI single last night. Boy, Jerry Lane has got a wide strike zone. Simmons at shortstop. They flip to Kinsler, the force on Marte. Bottom 2 with the big A. D-backs and Angels tied at 1. From here we go to Pittsburgh. Alley Toyota dealers. Let's go places. 4 games against the Pirates starting on Thursday, travel day tomorrow. And then we're at Marlins Park in Miami on Monday for another 4-game series. A long 10-game road trip here. D-backs trying to make it 2-0 against the Angels before it's off to the Steel City tomorrow. Shortstop Andrelton Simmons leads off the Angels, second against Matt Cook.
If all goes according to schedule, we should get into Pittsburgh in time to see the Brewers-Pirates game tomorrow night.
You will be in attendance.
I didn't say that.
Nick Ahmed is there.
I said we will get there in time.
So it's a possibility your staff is considering clearing your schedule.
Well, my staff is well aware that I like to watch it on TV because a lot of times the announcers will tell you what's going on with the ball club. So I like to tune in and listen to the local announcers.
Those guys don't know anything.
Watch a game in the room.
And a pizza magically appears somewhere
Yes,
along the line. Cole Calhoun, 153 and a homer. Are you going to make your regular stop once we get to Pittsburgh?
Giovanni's, yeah, absolutely.
It's on the way to the ballpark from the hotel. So
to the ballpark and on the way home. I've told the story before. I stop in Giovanni's on my way home after a game. I order the pizza and have them deliver it to the hotel. So by the time I get back to the hotel, put my bag away, take my shoes off, turn on the TV, there's a knock on the door, and there's the pizza.
You've created a system in which the pizza follows you home. How about that? That's executive type thinking. D-backs have the shift on against Cole Calhoun. He singled twice and scored a run last night. Back after missing 15 games with a right oblique strain. This is Sky to left center field. Peralta's over there. 2 down in the second for Matt Cook. Brings up Martin Maldonado, the catcher.
You were telling me earlier about relief pitcher for the Giants, Hunter Strickland. Was that today or last night?
That was after he blew the save last night.
Punched the wall, broke his hand.
He gave up 3 runs in the 9th inning, and the Giants lost at home to the Marlins. And apparently after the game, in anger and frustration, he punched the wall and broke his pitching hand.
The wall is undefeated.
So is common sense, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
Maldonado back behind the plate again tonight. He had an RBI single last night. Cutter for Matt Cook. D-backs, as we mentioned earlier, have won each of Matt Cook's last 4 starts. He is 3-0 in his last 4. But his ERA over that span is almost 5. The difference has been run support. Last 4 games started by Matt Cook. The D-backs have scored 36 runs. That's a whole bunch.
Said it in the open. It's not how you pitch, it's when you pitch. And if you pitch and your team puts 12 runs on the board, you got a pretty good chance to win the game.
I've seen Matt throw the occasional breaking ball up there. He's had a very good changeup lately. And spotting locations with his fastball and his cut fastball. Chris Young would be next. 2-2 on the Angels catcher, Martin Maldonado. Broken bat, 1 hopper for Jake Lamb at third. Matt Cook has retired 5 in a row. We're tied at 1 in Anaheim. D-backs and Angels tied at 1. Celebrate Independence Day with family and friends at Chase Field. On July 4th, the D-backs and Cardinals game starts at 7 o'clock. The roof will open up after the game for the biggest and best fireworks spectacular in town. It's presented by Gila River Hotels and Casinos. Get your tickets at dbacks.com. We'll see you at Chase Field on July 4th. John Jay leads off the D-back third against right-hander Felix Pena. Jay singled to lead off the ball game. Scored on a David Peralta ground ball. So John Jay 1 for 1 so far tonight with a base hit. He had 2 more hits last night. And Toro Lavello is telling us today, boy, you know, since Jay got here, the offense has just taken off.
I mean, it gives you a good at bat just about every trip to the plate. Sees a number of pitches, fouls off the tough ones, takes his walks. He'll get hit by a pitch if you try to come inside on him. Showed surprising opposite field power. Hit a home run to left field at Chase Field on that last homestand. I mean, he just slid right into that number 1 spot like he's been there forever.
It is remarkable. The fit has just been perfect. Fastball up, and it's 2-2. And John Jay has hit safely now in 6 of his last 7 games. 5 of those have been multi-hit games. Getting on base ahead of Goldie. Punches this one the other way. Fletcher's at third.
Hey fans, a D-backs home run tonight means a free jumbo jack tomorrow at participating Jack in the Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
Goldie a strikeout victim his first time. I was very impressed with the intrepid Todd Walsh, who of course talked to Goldie yesterday about Mike Trout, and today talked to Mike Trout about Goldie. So he through his people was able to line up and land the big Mike Trout interview.
That's a good get.
I thought you'd like that fishing reference. He was able to land the trout.
Okay.
No, that's pretty bad. Yeah, it's bad.
Flew right over my head there.
You're looking at the helicopter up there. That's why. So many similarities between these two guys. The work ethic and just the way they handle themselves as players and as people. And 2 guys who could be player of the month in each league here in June. That one a little too wide even for Jerry Lane, and Pena has his second base on balls. Jake Lamb singled to left field his first time up tonight.
Seen a lot of that from Jake Lamb lately. That check swing. He's not fully committed to going after the pitch. Maybe guessing fastball. He sees slider, can't hold up in time. We've seen a number of those check swings over the last 4 or 5 games.
And it looks kind of like Goldie looked in May at times.
Yeah.
Almost in between. Hesitant, not sure. Is that what they call getting caught in between?
I think so. That's as good an explanation as anything. You may be looking fastball, but you want to protect against a strike breaking ball, and you can't really cover both of those pitches effectively.
So you try to do both and you end up doing neither one.
Yeah, you're late on the fastballs. You're either out in front or checking your swing on the breaking pitches. Commit to one or the other, and most guys commit to the fastball. Hitting coaches will tell you get back on the heater. If your swing is ready to hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, ideally you can make adjustments to the off-speed pitches. But if you're looking off-speed, there's no way you can get to a fastball.
Didn't go that time, says Greg Gibson. Another slider from Pena.
And it's 2-2.
I talk about it all the time. As a hitter, really all it takes is one well-timed swing in good rhythm and square a ball up, and remember what it feels like to get the bat in the proper position to hit that ball hard. I mean, Jake had a hit back in that first inning, but a little floater off the end of the bat out into left field. Certainly will take it. But that's not what you want to see from Jake Lamb. You want to see that ball rattling around in the gaps and up in the seats.
Well, Pena walked Goldie. Now he's running full on Lamb 3-2 with Peralta on deck. 50 pitches for Felix Pena, 32 for strikes.
This would normally be a run situation to stay out of the double play, a potential double play with one out in the inning. But because Jake has been so unsure of himself up there at the plate, I'm not so sure Goldie will be in motion.
Goldie holding over there, fastball away. Back-to-back one-out walks have put 2 on for Peralta. Now let's see if David can barrel one up right here. Boy, Pena really likes that slider. That one caught Maldonado a bit on the backswing.
You see that top hand come off the bat right there. That's when guys are trying to get a little extra extension. They're fooled by an off-speed pitch. They want to try to keep their bat in the strike zone as long as they can. That top hand comes off the bat and that backswing gets real long.
Runners advance as the ball gets behind Maldonado. 0-2 on Peralta.
And just didn't block that 5-hole. Got down in good blocking position, but didn't have the mitt all the way down in the dirt. And that's all the room that baseball needed to sneak through and advance the runners.
Wild pitch charged to Pena. Goldie at third, Lamb at second, 1 out, 0-2 on David. Hard to first. Pujols coming home. And they get Goldie at the plate.
Goldie didn't have much of a primary lead down there at third base. Pujols' throw is in the dirt to Maldonado, but he's able to make a nice pick back there behind the plate and apply the tag before Goldie could get the foot through and onto the plate. That's a pretty nice play for a guy that doesn't play a whole lot of defense, Albert Pujols.
He was the DH here last night. So they're running corners now with 2 down for Daniel Descalso, the DH. Descalso struck out to win the first. Jake Lamb at third, David Peralta at first. Pena so far has walked 3, struck out 4.
Fastball is there, and it's 0-2. That was the 20th pitch of this inning for Felix Pena. Got him on a slider. Pena gets the strikeout, strands two. We stay tied 1-1.
You know, the way he handles himself out there, you know, you take pride in that. And, you know, a lot of guys see it. A lot of guys see it across the league. And, you know, if you go out there and play hard every game and, you know, guys recognize that. And, you know, obviously just being out there and having fun like I do every night. And you can see that in him, too.
Todd Wells back here in Anaheim as Chris Young comes to the plate here in the bottom of the third. Steve and Bob, you were talking about Mike Trout on our pregame show. There's just one of the comments that he shared with us today. There's a shot, Steve.
Yeah, Chris Young, leadoff single to start the third.
If I could just say this, and I think you alluded to this, Steve, and just something I learned today. I'd never spoken to Mike Trout. He just gets it. He, like Paul Goldschmidt, they both get their roles, not just for their respective teams, but I think in all of Major League Baseball, they get the responsibility that comes with it. And that was the question that set up that answer. He was clearly moved hearing what Paul Goldschmidt had to say about him. And I think it's just great to hear from both guys about each other. And clearly they were comfortable talking about each other, because it sounds like both of them really don't like to talk about, well, their own accomplishments, right?
That's been a consistent theme, that's for sure. Here's David Fletcher, the third baseman.
Mutual respect.
Yep.
You know, that's the easiest way to put it. Both guys appreciate what the other guy does, and both guys, in a certain respect, emulate the other guy.
Well, Matt Cook had retired 5 in a row before the Young single. Behind on Fletcher, 2-0. Fletcher, a rookie, only 3 for 9 to start his major league career. Lined out as a pinch hitter and his only at bat last night. This is popped up. Still a very light sky here. Goldie's got it.
Ian Kinsler got the offense started for the Angels back in that first inning with a leadoff home run. It was only a 3-pitch at bat. Our Nationwide Vision eye on the game. A first pitch fastball for a strike. Missed away with a cutter. And then just threw a fastball right down Main Street to Kinsler, and he lost it out there over the bullpens.
His 48th career leadoff homer, his second this season. He's up there with a Young at first and 1 out. Kinsler is actually having a very productive month of June at the plate. He's homered 7 times this month. And that mistake that Matt made with his fastball, that's become kind of a consistent theme here. Seen a lot of hard contact against Matt. The fastball in particular has been getting whacked around pretty good by the opposing hitters. They're hitting about 340 versus Matt Cook's fastball this year. If he leaves that cutter in a bad spot too, it gets hit. So he's got to be careful. That was the cut fastball.
And you alluded to it earlier. Torrey just said he needs to really focus on keeping the ball down. Fastballs tend to get hit hard when they're up in the zone. When they're down in the zone, you can still get an occasional ground ball or a swing and a miss. But those fastballs in the upper 80s, low 90s in the middle of the plate and up tend to get hit real hard.
It's hard to pitch in the big leagues when they're hitting 340 against your fastball. Drop to third. Lamb. They just do get the force on Young at second. That was awfully close. A slow developing play for Jake. Vic Carapazza at second says they got him.
A lot of times when that much time has elapsed, by the time you get the baseball, you just go across the diamond for the sure out at first. But Nick thought he had enough time to go on to Marte and get the force play. And I believe the Angels are going to challenge that play. Mike Scioscia still looking over his shoulder at his bench coach.
Play on, he says. So here is Mike Trout. He walked his first time up. Todd was talking about, and you were talking about, mutual respect, the way Goldie and Mike Trout carry themselves. And you talk to the Angels people here, they'll tell you the same thing. This guy who's just a giant bundle of raw talent. But the most impressive thing, and everybody says this, is how hard Mike Trout works. His work ethic is through the roof. Constantly working on improving different parts of his game. It might be his defense, which has seen a big improvement this year. It might be his base stealing. There's always something. And they all agree it comes from the influence of people in that clubhouse when he first got here. Guys like Albert Pujols and Torrey Hunter. Mike Trout watched the way those guys went about their business, and he conducts himself in the same fashion. Boy, if those guys have been around as long as they have, and they're working as hard as they still are, I better pick up my game.
Yeah, and you know, same thing with Goldie and the Diamondbacks. You get a young kid up from the minor leagues that thinks he's got it made. I'm in the big leagues now. And then you watch Goldie go through his daily routine and wonder if you can even keep up with him.
Yeah. 2 balls and a strike on Mike Trout. Got that fastball in there. 2-2. Upton on deck.
Nice block by John Ryan. A changeup in the dirt. We talked about the trouble that Matt has had with his fastball. The other side of that equation is the changeup. That's been a very good pitch for him. It's a lot of ground ball outs with that changeup. Hitters just don't square it up that often. Here's the 3-2 to Trout. Here goes Kinsler. Jerry Lane doesn't bite. Caught her up and away. Second walk issued by Matt Cook. Both times to Mike Trout. So Upton gets a chance. He hit into a double play back in the first. D-backs have 3 defenders on the left side. Left that cutter in a dangerous spot. Upton jumped on it. When he makes a big mistake, it's been bad locations with a fastball and the cut fastball. Got away with it that time. I like the idea of Matt trying to work in with that fastball on some of these big right-hand hitters.
Especially if you're going to use the cutter away on these right-handed hitters, you got to have something to keep them honest, and that's that four-seamer inside. Pushed Upton off the plate that time.
He's faced 12 batters. He's thrown first pitch strikes to 8 of them. There's that cutter down and away. Moving kind of like a slider. Away from the right-hand hitter, and it's 1-2. Back in with a fastball. Pujols would be next. Way up into that light sky. Goldie's camped out underneath. Good job by Matt Cook. He strands 2. We stay tied at 1.
In Anaheim, time to take a quick look at our Geico This Day in Major League Baseball history. We go back to 1942 for the first and only time in his 1,787 game career. Joe DiMaggio struck out 3 times. Once in his career.
Well, Jake Lamb struck out 3 times last night.
I'm guessing he probably did it at another time in his career.
Simmons at shortstop. They retire Ketel Marte to start off the 4th. Here's John Ryan Murphy.
The pitcher, if you're wondering, Cleveland Indians, Mel Harder, pitched the Indians to a 5-4 victory that night and punched out Joe D 3 times.
You had another one that your staff was considering for today. What was that guy that broke his leg or something? What was that?
Oh, that was, who was that? Justin Turner, playing for Cal State Fullerton in the College World Series, got hit in the head by a pitch, and in an effort to get out of the way of the pitch that hit him in the head, he broke his ankle.
That's rough.
That's a rough AB.
Yeah. Kind of a California theme to that one since we're out here.
Well, the one I thought you might be referring to happened in '07. The Twins were playing the Mets in interleague play in New York, and Bert Blyleven, our fine analyst, was on the bus with the team going to the ballpark. And he said, if Johan Santana throws a shutout tonight, I will shave my head. And Johan Santana went out and threw a shutout.
Was he Johan on the bus?
That I don't know. He might have been, yeah, since he was pitching that night.
Well,
I'm not making any such proclamations.
at least he didn't have to walk back to Pittsburgh or whatever the other guy had to do.
Yeah, Jim Rooker, yeah.
1-2 on John Ryan. Pena so far has walked 3, struck out 5. His first ever major league start. Well, make it 6. Murphy caught looking at a fastball. Tell you what, this guy was kind of a wild card coming in. You had no idea what to expect, but so far he's looked pretty good.
Pena, product of San Pedro de Macorís down in the Dominican Republic, which is more well known for the shortstops that they have produced over the years. But I was kind of interested to find out they've had 76 major league ball players come out of San Pedro. Now it's less than 200,000 people. Santo Domingo's had a lot more major leaguers, but they're 10 times bigger than San Pedro de Macorís. So on a percentage basis, San Pedro's probably produced more major league ball players than any other city in the world.
Some great names on that list.
Oh, yeah. Joaquin Andujar, George Bell, Robinson Cano, Rico Cardi, Starlin Castro, Tony Fernandez, Mariano Duncan, Pedro Guerrero. I mean, it just goes on and on. All guys that were either stars in Major League Baseball or at least contributing members to good teams at the Major League level. Jose Valverde, Papa Grande, the Big Potato.
3-0 on Ahmed.
Sammy Sosa was from San Pedro.
Well, so many teams now, D-backs included, have academies in the Dominican Republic. That's the big reason why. Well, Jerry Lane, he never quite sure for a while if it's a strike or not. I know he says something down there, but the only guy that can hear it is the catcher and the batter. The rest of us have to wait for his slow mechanic to tell you what the pitch was, and it's full on, Nick. 3-2.
Whenever you're ready, Martine. There you go. Attaboy.
that one down and away. Came up and in on Ahmed and clipped him. Now the Angels are saying that Nick swung at that pitch. If you swing, it doesn't matter if it hit you or not. They're checking with their review people. No challenge from Mike Socia. Here's a look.
Yeah, I don't think there's any indication of a swing here at all, although Nick does open up and expose those hands and wrists. It looked like it caught him on the inside of the right forearm, possibly on the hand.
He's at first, 2 outs for Dyson. Now 70 pitches for Pena, 46 strikes. Dyson brings Fletcher in from third, but it's fouled away.
I like the idea of a bunt. I don't like the direction. I mentioned it earlier. I think the Diamondbacks ought to test Albert Pujols down there at first base. Make him move around. Make him come in and field a bunt. Try to create some indecision with the young pitcher on the mound and a first baseman that hasn't played a lot over there recently.
Yeah, based on the way we saw Albert run up the line last night as the DH, he is not moving all that well.
Maldonado just dying to pick somebody off base behind the plate. We saw him come up out of his crouch several times in the ball game last night, ready to throw to the bases. His reputation precedes him, however. I think the Diamondbacks are well aware that that's a big part of his game behind the plate.
Missed with a breaking ball. Pena has not given up a base hit since Jake Lamb's single in the first inning. That was the third batter of the game. He has walked 3 and hit a batter, but he's only given up 2 hits tonight and none since the end of the first inning. This is popped up short left center. Simmons drifting out there, and he's got it. Bottom 4 from the Big A. We're tied at 1.
Sharing a photo or video with hashtag #HatsOffForHeroes. For each post, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support veterans.
Matt Cook out there for the bottom of the fourth inning. He'll face Albert Pujols, Andrelton Simmons, and Cole Calhoun. 4, 5, and 6 in the Angels' fourth. D-backs and Angels tied at 1. Pujols grounded out his first time up. D-backs have 3 infielders on the left side against Pujols, who had a home run here last night after homering Sunday in Oakland. That will roll foul at third. Rick Gibson waves it off. Pujols has hit home runs in 4 of his last 9 games and is now sitting at 626 for his career, so he's only 4 shy of matching Ken Griffey Jr. for 6th all time. Now in his 18th major league season.
And his very first home run came against the Arizona Diamondbacks back on April 6, 2001 against Armando Reynoso.
Pujols was National League Rookie of the Year when he broke in 01 with the Cardinals at the age of 21.
Really kind of made the Cardinals that year out of spring training by default. Bobby Bonilla was injured right at the end of spring training as that one's popped high in the air to left center field. Looks like David Peralta will make the play. Yeah, Bobby Bonilla got hurt towards the end of spring training, and Pujols was added to the major league roster. Started in left field against the Colorado Rockies in his first major league game, but found his way back into the infield. And the rest is history. He is just hit, hit, hit.
3,035 times, in fact. Simmons, the shortstop. .50 pitches for Matt Cook, 28 strikes. Ketel Marte collects that at second base.
You know, and all the things we said earlier about Paul Goldschmidt and Mike Trout certainly applied to Albert Pujols when he got to the major leagues. Tony La Russa used to rave about his work ethic, his thirst for knowledge, wanted to learn all about the pitchers and what it meant to play in the big leagues and how to go about being a good big leaguer, being a good teammate.
Well, when you have a discussion about the greatest hitters of all time, he's in that discussion, certainly. Cole Calhoun, the ASU Sun Devil out of Buckeye, Arizona. D-backs will have 3 infielders fill up the right-hand side against Calhoun. Single twice. Last night, his first hit snapped an 0 for 17 skid. He's only at 153 on the year.
You know, one thing about these exaggerated pull shifts that I find kind of interesting is on those rare occasions when the guy hits the ball the other way, it's usually right at the third baseman on the left side of the infield all by himself.
Yeah, sometimes the third baseman is closer to the second base bag. Sometimes he's near the line at third. They have data on that too. They have data on everything.
Yes, they do.
You should see the charts in Torey Lovullo's office. All color coded. It's amazing.
I think the key is taking all of that information and condensing it into a usable form that the players can look at and use when they go up to the plate or when they're out there on the mound or when they're playing defense. I mean, if you just sift through those mountains of data that you have, eventually you'll go brain dead. So Torey and his staff kind of condense things down, make it a digestible scouting report, and then the guys take it right into the ball game.
And the beauty of Torey is there are moments when he just throws it all out. When I know what color this says, I know what the numbers say. I'm going to do this instead because I think it's the right move at this time. And he's certainly far from a robot.
Sometimes you just have to trust your eyes and trust your gut. What have you seen lately? The numbers may say one thing, but your eyes tell you something completely different. And over
the bench coach.
Over the course of a long season, the numbers are probably going to play out more often than not. But as I said, you know, Torey watches these guys go about their business every day in the weight room. They take their grounders. They take batting practice. He watches every move they make, and sometimes there'll be a red flag. He doesn't look quite right today.
He's a big body language guy. Marte charges. Underhand toss to Goldie. Matt Cook makes short work of the Angels in the fourth. 1-1 ball game here at the Big A. The 2018 Camping World MLB All-Star Ballot is now open and exclusively online, so make sure your favorite D-backs are there by voting at dbacks.com/vote. Catch all the excitement of the 89th MLB All-Star Game, presented by MasterCard, July 17th, live on Fox. So Felix Pena goes through the D-backs order twice, and before he can go through them the third time, he's pulled from the ball game by Mike Scioscia, replaced by the left-hander Jose Alvarez. A bullpen game for the Angels here tonight. John Jay leads it off. Jay has singled and scored. He's grounded out, 1 for 2. So Pena did a good job, went 4 innings, gave up just 1 run, 2 hits, struck out 6.
I think Mike Scioscia has to be pretty pleased with what he got from Felix Pena tonight. No way of knowing for sure how deep he could get into this ball game and how effective he would be. But 1 run through 4 innings, pretty solid.
There's a tapper back to the mound. And they retire Jay to start off the 5th. Goldie has struck out and walked tonight. I'm not the world's biggest interleague play fan. I kind of prefer the old way, but You know, this is a chance for Angels fans to get to see Paul Goldschmidt. And August 21st, 22nd, D-backs fans can go to Chase Field and see Mike Trout play.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for it. It's good for baseball. You see highlights, you see names and numbers, but now you get to see the guy up close and personal like this. The more you can expose the game's best players to the most fans possible, the better off the game will be.
And when we were in Oakland earlier this year playing the A's in interleague play, Bob Melvin was talking to Todd before the ball game, and the one tweak he would make to interleague play was play American League rules in the National League parks. So National League fans could see a game with the designated hitter, something they're not used to, and vice versa. In the American League, let the pitchers hit.
This is way up in the air. Center field for Young. He got under it just a bit. There is a little breeze blowing out in that direction, but it's allowed out number 2 here in the 5th.
And we mentioned it last night, and we mention it every time we play at Dodger Stadium. At night here in Southern California, the air starts to get a little heavier. That marine layer kind of comes in, and the ball just doesn't carry well at all. We didn't have that for a few years there with the drought conditions in Southern California. Remember, in Dodger Stadium, the ball was flying day or night for a couple of years.
Did make a difference. That became the ultimate pitcher's park, turned into a launching pad for a while. 1-1 on Lamb. He gets singled and walked. Now, I know Jake's folks back at home up in Washington State watch a lot of D-backs games. Now, they can verify this. It's up there on the little board they have here. They have a little tidbit about the player. Jake Lamb's family went through 3 garage doors because of the kids trying to pitch. Next time we see the Lambs at a D-backs game, we'll have to ask them if they went through that many garage doors back in the day.
I believe it. Any parent that's had a son or a daughter that likes to play baseball or hockey, we have a few puck marks on our garage doors back in Scottsdale.
He's got 3 brothers and a sister throwing against the garage door every day. Here it is.
Well, fortunately for the Diamondbacks, Jake didn't make it as a pitcher.
I saw his brother's team, Washington Huskies, just got eliminated from the
did?
College World Series. Yeah.
I was watching the World Cup.
I know you were.
That.
That's why I got to fill you in on other things that are going on. I know you're engrossed. Peralta would be next, 2-2 on Jake.
A little better pass at that inside fastball. A lot of teams have been pounding Jake inside with heaters and then slow stuff off the plate low and away. Yeah, much like Goldie earlier this season. You have to commit to get to that pitch inside. Prove to other teams that you're quick enough to turn on that inside fastball. That'll open up the entire strike zone.
But if you're up there like Jake is now against the lefty, are you trying to more often than not go to left center?
Yeah, especially with 2 strikes. I mean, now you have to become a little bit more defensive, fight off those inside pitches. But when the count's in your favor, that's when you still have to be ready to be quick inside.
8th pitch of the at-bat. Just away, and it's full. Lamb's single in the first was the last D-backs hit. That one's just foul. Jay singled to lead it off. Lamb singled him to third. Jay scored on a Peralta ground ball, and that has been the offense. One more time on 3-2. Boy, this is we talk all the time about the results versus the process for Jake Lamb against lefties. This is the process. This is really good at bat right here. 11th pitch coming up. I think Scott Boras is trying to call you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
10 years, $400 million.
That'll get you to the table.
That'll get you to the conversation.
Second walk tonight for Jake Lamb. Scott usually a fixture here at the Angels games. David Peralta. You got to put, I think, do you have call waiting?
Yes.
He's trying to get a hold of you. Send a text.
Hey, Scott, busy right now. Call me after the game. Okay, send.
Send. That's always the key. Now, the little factoid on the board here for David Peralta says that he goes home and watches an episode of Friends every night after coming home from the ballpark.
How you doing?
Still caught up in the whole Ross and Rachel thing. It's like back in the day, you'd get the baseball card and you know, you'd open you'd have the gum and you'd have the white powder all over the gum,
Sure.
and you'd eat the gum and you'd read the cards. Oh, I got a Bob Brenly card, and you'd turn it over and said, Bob enjoys fishing.
Yeah.
And there'd be a little cartoon of a baseball player with a line in the water. This is a whole nother level now.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I've got some of those cards somewhere in the garage.
We got to get into that garage. You know what we need to do is send Todd in there, because he is the garage navigation expert, and maybe we can catalog some of the material in there. It's a treasure trove.
I have a feeling my garage is not quite as packed as Todd's.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in there. 25th pitch of the inning on the way from Alvarez.
I can actually get a car in my garage.
Oh, that is always nice. There's no giant ball of string in yours. That's why.
Ooh, good take.
Slider is low. So a long at bat by Lamb before Alvarez lost him. Now it's 3-2 on Peralta with Descalso on deck. And it's these two left-hand batters that have given Alvarez the most trouble. There goes Lamb from first. David crushes one towards center field. And that's off the wall. Lamb coming around third. He will score. RBI double for the freight train. And it's 2-1 D-backs. That ball was smoked.
Say that about David Peralta. Just about every at bat he makes contact. He doesn't make a lot of soft contact. If he hits the ball, it stays hit. Banged off the wall out there in deep right center field. Chris Young, no chance to get to the spot. And Jake Lamb with 2 outs in the inning will score all the way from first base.
And how about those 2 at bats by D-backs left-hand hitters against the lefty Alvarez? Outstanding. You were talking about that yesterday, Bob, the way that David Peralta has been driving the baseball. Now, it's been incremental progress. We're seeing more line drives, more fly balls, but it's a big spike in the percentage of balls he hits that are classified as hard hit. Last year it was 32%. This year it's 48%. That's a big jump in 1 year. But all that work that he's put in, and he's gradually made that progress. Now it's really paying off. So those 2 at bats, Lamb and Peralta, against left-handers, 17 pitches in total. And here's another lefty, Descalso. That's a high fastball for a strike.
5 left-handed bats and a switch hitter in the lineup for the Diamondbacks tonight, but Alvarez is the only lefty Mike Scioscia has out of the bullpen, and you know he's going to be on short duty, so no pinch hitters for any of these lefties. They're going to get right-handers out of that Angels bullpen after Alvarez comes out.
Yeah, and it's not exactly a dominant Angels bullpen, and they may run through several guys here today.
Where are you going?
'30th pitch of this inning coming up. All with 2 outs. Lamb walk, Peralta the RBI double. Now 1-2 on Descalso. Maldonado hangs on. Peralta's RBI double makes it 2-1 D-backs.
The Diamondbacks are now in the lead 2-1. And guys, earlier today, the Reno Aces were in action, and on the mound, Robbie Ray for the Arizona Diamondbacks as he continues his rehab. And look at the numbers that he posted: 66 pitches, 48 strikes, 9 strikeouts today. The velocity in the low 90s, and I'm sure you guys spoke to Torey Lovello about it. So did we prior to the pregame show tonight. He just talked about the excitement that he heard in Robbie's voice in a brief conversation that led him to believe that this was an outstanding start. The ball exploding out of his hand and throwing all of his pitches. The arsenal was there, and of course the velocity. So that's great news. Reinforcements perhaps on their way, and Shelby Miller with a 40-pitch bullpen today as well.
Yeah, both guys, most importantly, Todd, feeling great, and there'll be some tough decisions to make here, and it sounds like very soon, with both Shelby and Robbie progressing extremely well. Maldonado leads off the 5th against Matt Cook, who now has a 2-1 lead. Tomorrow, did that hit him? Yes, it did. Tomorrow's a travel day, and the starters for the 4-game set at Pittsburgh have already been announced. Godley, Corbin, Greinke, and Buchholz. Here's another look.
Awful lot of dust flying there.
Yeah, chalk. What's next brought to you by CenturyLink. So here are your starters announced today for the 4-game set at PNC Park starting on Thursday. So maybe there's some rearranging in this series. Maybe they wait until Miami, or maybe they wait longer than that. But sooner or later, you're going to have to move some pieces around, Bob, in this rotation.
Yeah, and Zach Godley and Matt Cook and Clay Buchholz are all well aware that there are two guys anxiously efforting to get back into that starting rotation. They're not blind. They read the papers. They know what's going on. And Matt Cook perhaps feeling that heat, pitching one of his best games in a long time.
He's only given up 2 hits. The Kinsler leadoff homer, and then a single by Young in the 3rd.
Hey, talking about the minor leagues, congratulations to Socrates Brito, was named Pacific Coast League Player of the Week. Hit 600 with 4 home runs and 11 driven in a week.
He looked a lot more polished when we saw him for that brief stretch earlier this year.
Boy, he sure did.
Former D-back Chris Young. Shift is on. And he hits it in the air to left. Here comes Peralta. Maldonado back to the bag at first. 1 out. Boy, Matt Cook doing what Matt Cook does when he's successful, which is generate weak contact. He's not struck out a batter yet so far tonight. He's walked 2, giving up just 2 hits.
And after that first couple innings, he's getting the ball down more consistently at the bottom of the knees, working on the corners. You just have to avoid those fastballs belt high over the heart of the plate.
Kinsler got one to lead it off and hit it over Peralta's head for a home run in left. Fletcher, the 3rd baseman. There's the Matt Cook breaking ball. It's kind of a slurvy breaking ball.
Well, that's a good way to use that pitch. It's not something he's going to throw an awful lot, but throw it up there first pitch, steal a strike. I mean, a guy that has a reputation of being a cutter changeup pitcher, if you can roll a curveball up there in the strike zone.
Oh, Maldonado off and running on the pitch. Fletcher knocks it into right. And the Angels have runners in the corners with 1 out in the 5th.
Well, Mike Scioscia in the past, depending on personnel, loves to use the hit and run. David Fletcher perfectly guides that ball to the right side. You can see Marte was breaking to cover the bag. As Maldonado broke for second, he'll easily turn the corner and end up at 3rd.
Is that an offensive weapon or a defensive weapon? You've got a catcher running at first. I know you like to stay out of the double play.
Yeah, I always felt it was an offensive weapon. You start that runner, invariably some of your defenders are going to have to move. That time we saw Ketel Marte breaking to cover second base, which left a wide open right side of the infield. And if you have a hitter at the plate that can handle the bat a little bit, I always felt it was an offensive weapon.
Kinsler homered to lead off the ball game, the only Angels run. Second hit batter in this inning by Matt Cook. And now the Angels have the bases full for Mike Trout.
Get some boos from the crowd here at the Big A, but there is no way in the world that's what Matt Cook wanted to do right there, to load him up for Mike Trout.
That'll get Mike Butcher out to the mound. D-backs get the lead in the top half of this inning. A walk and a double, both with 2 outs. And now in the home half, Matt has loaded the bases with 1 down for Trout, who has walked twice tonight. The only 2 batters that Matt has walked all night. How big a red flag is that when he suddenly, almost out of nowhere, plunks 2 guys in 1 inning?
Yeah, out of nowhere. I mean, you have to diagnose which pitch it was, and did he try to overthrow it? Did he lose the grip? But yeah, I've just mentioned he's been doing a real nice job keeping the fastball down, keeping it on the edges, and then all of a sudden he plunks 2 batters in the same inning.
Here is Trout, leading the major leagues in home runs and OPS. Sends that out to left center field. It drops in. Maldonado scores. Fletcher right behind. A 2-run single for Trout. They can't pick it up, and now Kinsler scores. Trout clears the bases with a bloop to left center.
It's not a bad pitch that time. A cutter down over the plate. Trout hits it off the end of the bat out there in the gap. A little confusion between the two outfielders, but Dyson throws it back in, and Ketel Marte just kind of waves at that ball, gets away, and allows Kinsler to come around and score all the way from first base.
So just like that, it goes from 2-1 D-backs to 4-2 Angels. Here's Upton, who's 0 for 2. That goes down as a single for Trout, 2 RBIs, E8. The error on the center fielder Dyson allows Kinsler to score.
You saw in the back of your picture when we took a shot of Goldie and Mike Trout, Alfredo Griffin, the first base coach for the Angels. I played winter ball with Alfredo down in the Dominican Republic, and boy, what a character he is.
One of the great Toronto Blue Jays of all time. Upton gets into one. Here we go again with Dyson, deep center field. Oh, he got it again, just shy of the wall. Deja vu all over again.
Dyson really measured that one, got back to the wall, jumped a little bit. Might have been able to make the play without the jump, but either way, just jump anyway and rub it into Justin Upton.
He's going to be seeing Mr. Zumbayi in his sleep for a while.
And there's that little notch out there right where that catch was made, right where the catch was made last night, and Upton continues to hit the ball out there to the deepest part of the ballpark, and Dyson makes him pay for it.
Albert Pujols, pitch number 70 on the way for Matt Cook. There's the cutter.
Now, Alfredo Griffin one year, after playing in the States, had purchased a Mustang. A car,
not a horse.
an older one. I don't know.
Like a vintage one?
Yeah.
Okay.
But by the time it made it back to the Dominican Republic, it had wire wheels on it, had a raccoon tail on the antenna, flames on the hood, and he loved it. He loved that car, drove to the ballpark every day. The kids would all go crazy when you saw it coming because you knew who it was. Nobody else is driving a Mustang with a raccoon tail on the antenna. What a piece of work.
Pujols reaches down and dunks it into right. Trout will head for third. The inning continues for the Angels. Now with 3,036 career hits. I hope he still has the car.
Yeah, I hope so too. It was a beauty.
Cook trying to get out of this fifth inning. First and third, 2 down. Andrelton Simmons, the shortstop, is 0 for 2. Just past Cook. Marte cleans it up, and they get the force on Pujols. Angels get 3. They lead at 4-2. at Wrigley Field. Dodgers trailing 3-2 in the ninth inning in game one. Kyle Farmer, a pinch hit, 2-run ninth inning double. That won it for LA. So they pulled within a game and a half of the D-backs NL West lead. Game two tonight, extra innings. Albert Almora walks it off for the Cubs. So the Dodgers go to Wrigley after the rain out last night. They get a split. So right now the D-backs National League West Division lead is 2. But they trail the Angels 4-2 as we start the sixth inning. And the new pitcher for LA, the right-hander Cam Bedrosian. Ketel Marte starts it off.
If the name sounds familiar to baseball fans out there, his daddy Steve Bedrosian had a 14-year career in the major leagues, was a really good closer, saved 40 games for the Phillies back in 1987.
Bedrock.
Briefly, we were teammates in 1989 with the Giants, my last year in the major leagues. We've got a beach ball on the field. We are in Southern California.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, Cam's daddy, I told the story in the past. We were in Atlanta.
Is that the guy with the livestock in the car?
Yeah, he called and said, "Hey, you want to go to lunch?" I said, "Yeah, sure." He says, "I'll pick you up out in front of the hotel in 15 minutes. So I went down there, and sure enough, Bedrock shows up in a pickup truck with a pig in the back.
And why was this again?
Well, he had a farm and apparently got a good deal on some pork. I don't know, but he had it secured in the back there so it couldn't hurt, you know, as he was driving around Atlanta with a pig in the back of his car.
Well, I'm sure the folks at the hotel appreciated that.
And the thing is, I wasn't really surprised. I know Steve Bedrosian.
0-2 on Ketel Marte. Fletcher at third. Well, the thing that disturbs you the most about Matt Cook's effort tonight, he'd been rolling along through 4 for the most part, was that both times the Angels scored runs, it's after the D-backs had scored a run to take the lead in the previous half inning. D-backs led it 1-0 after the top of the first. Kinsler led off the home half with a home run. And then the D-backs get the Peralta RBI double in the top half of the fifth. Angels answer with 3. So it's been the reverse of the shutdown inning for Matt Cook tonight. Still no one warming up at the D-back bullpen. It's quiet back there. Angels are on their third pitcher tonight. This is short center. Kinsler rolling out there, and he's got it.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free crunchy beef tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Murphy's retired. Here's Nick Ahmed, who has struck out and been hit by a pitch. Nick had a terrific night here last night. He singled and homered, scored twice. That one a little too far off the plate for Jerry Lane's liking. It's 1-1. Fastball dots the corner, down and away. A ball and 2 strikes. Tapper over the mound. Simmons will charge. A 1-2-3-6 for Cam Bedrosian. D-backs trail at 4-2. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro Phoenix offers summer day camp programs at all 13 locations to give youth and teens an adventurous, active, and healthy summer. These programs operate 5 days a week, and they help to enrich kids with academic success, healthy choices, and fun experiences. For more information, contact the nearest club or visit www.bgcmp.org. Cole Calhoun, the Angels right fielder, leads off the Anaheim sixth against Matt Cook. On and two. Try to sneak that cutter through the back door. This is high in the air, deep right field, and gone. Cole Calhoun, his second, makes it 5-2 Angels.
Earlier, Cole Calhoun just back off the disabled list. That's a left-handed bat that the Angels could really use in this lineup. They don't have a lot of left-handers, especially with thump like Cole Calhoun has. He launches this ball to right center.
His bat has vanished this year. They hope that'll get him going. He had 2 hits last night coming off the DL. And now a home run to make it a 3-run Angel cushion. Cole Calhoun from Buckeye and ASU. Here's the catcher, Maldonado. That one is hit to Ahmed at shortstop. Nice running grab by Nick.
Hey fans, the day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
Chris Young. Fernando Salas, former Angel, starts to get loose of the bullpen. Jake Lamb at third, spins and throws. And how about that play by Jake Lamb? A 10 hopper to first, and they're able to get the out.
It was Nolan Arenado-like. Nice diving stop, rolls over on his glove hand. Our Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. What a great play by Nick Ahmed, or rather Jake Lamb down there at third base. Nick was watching, and he appreciates this two-hopper across the diamond. Nice play by Goldie at the other end.
Again, Young by an eyelash. Here's Fletcher, the third baseman. He singled and scored in that 3-run Angels fifth. Fletcher was having a big year in the minors. He was hitting .350 in just under 60 games with their AAA club in Salt Lake this year. We saw Valbuena at third last night. Fletcher in there tonight. Good fastball down from Matt. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kinsler, the leadoff man on deck. Fletcher reaches out and shoots it down the first baseline. A 2-out single, his second hit tonight. Here comes Torey Lovello. Kinsler will be the hitter. He homered off Cook to lead off the ball game. And that's going to do it for Matt. We'll take a break from Los Angeles. D-backs trail the Angels 5-2. Fans take advantage of the D-backs 20th anniversary suite sale and reserve a suite in July for just $19.98. That includes parking, complimentary food, beverage, a whole lot more. The offer is limited and ends at 5 o'clock tomorrow, so call 602-462-4119 or log on to dbacks.com/suites. Suites. Now that's how you watch a game in style at the ballpark.
No kid.
He'll treat you like a king. Former Angel Fernando Salas, who made in his career 200 appearances in an Angels uniform, 2014, 2015, and again for part of last year, is on to try and get the final out of this 6th inning.
Well, if anybody should know the nuances of this ballpark and where to try to get the hitters to hit the ball and what the mound is like, it's Fernando Salas. This was his home for quite a while.
Kinsler is the hitter. And we have a national broadcast that's extended the breaks a bit, so we have about another 19 seconds before we can get going. Anything you'd like to say in these 19 seconds?
No, actually, though, this kind of a delay like this in the postseason was one of the things we warned our players about back in '01. You know, you try to prepare them for anything that's going to come their way that's out of the ordinary, and we knew that the between inning breaks and the pitching change breaks were going to be a lot longer than they were during the regular season, so we tried to adjust accordingly. Have your pitcher go out to the mound very slowly. You're going to have plenty of time to throw your warm-up pitches.
Baseball has become very efficient at getting everybody warmed up and ready to go in between innings, so that as soon as we come back from commercial, we can play ball, try and move things along. It's another one of the many changes that everybody grumbled about when they were first introduced. Oh, you're going to time stuff now? You can't have a clock. It's baseball. Well, now it's just, you don't think twice about it. Just like the intentional walks, just like the mound visit rules. All progress. Jerry Lane loves to give you that east-west strike. North-south, that's a whole nother deal. Salas behind 3-0. He'll expand the zone side to side, not up and down.
Every night.
Justin Anderson has started warming up in the Angels bullpen. He threw 27 pitches in the ball game last night. 3-1 on Kinsler. Fletcher takes off. This is fouled back up here. Andrew Chafin for the D-backs. Well, obviously Kinsler is the guy you want to get because you've got the big boys coming up, Trout, Upton, Pujols. There is Anderson in the Angel pen. Scott Radinsky, the bullpen coach down there, former White Sox flamethrower. Fletcher off and running. This is popped up first base side, headed for the seats and out of play. Here's Scott Radinsky.
He was a singer for a punk rock band when he was in Chicago. On off days and nights after day games, he'd get with his band and go out and get after it.
Blackjack McDowell used to do that when he was with the White Sox.
The punk rock band that Scott Radinsky was in was called Pulley, P-U-L-L-E-Y. He's been playing in bands ever since 1986. To check iTunes to see if Pulley has any albums.
Fletcher off and running. Pitch misses up and in, and here comes Trout. Well, let's see. Mike Trout last night. Walk, ground out, single, walk, single. Tonight, walk, walk, 2-run single. So we've only gotten Mike Trout out once in this entire series so far. 2 on and 2 out. This is a guy who is hitting .439 in June. Fights that one off, and they'll retire Trout for the second time in the series. Hold on. I think we're going to get catcher's interference here.
John Ryan Murphy's glove is laying on the ground. That's a pretty good indication that it got clipped by the swing of Mike Trout.
Kind of wondered why Trout wasn't running, and Jerry Lane signals catcher's interference.
That's the second time this has happened to John Ryan Murphy recently. Maybe just getting a little too close up underneath that hitter. Trout with a late swing that time. Caught the mitt, knocked it right off John's hand.
And now they're full for Upton. Last time Justin Upton was up there with the bases loaded. Gerard Dyson robbed him of a grand slam. That was in the 7th inning last night. Second D-backs error tonight. Catcher's interference is scored as an E2. Fastball right there at the knees, 0-1. Upton 0 for 3 tonight. Flied out deep to center his last time up.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of funny if Gerard Dyson would just go stand in that notch out there just to the right of straightaway center where Upton has hit the ball to him twice.
Just kind of hang off the wall.
Yeah.
He better be ready. The last one in the 5th inning was just a step or two shy of that notch out there. He does it again. Upton might be the first guy ever to charge the center fielder.
Well, good luck trying to catch Gerard Dyson.
That's true. He's got a heck of a head start out there.
There's some confusion here, so John Ryan Murphy does the smart thing. Just go out and talk to him. What is it you're thinking about right here? Yeah, we know the Diamondbacks have a very complicated set of signs with the runner at second base, and if the pitcher shakes off, it takes a while for John Ryan Murphy to go through the signs once again, and usually the hitter's going to call timeout while he's waiting.
One run already in on the Calhoun homer. Bases full, 2 down. Good breaking ball right there. 0-2.
Boy, darn near a perfect knuckle curve that time. Dropped it right on the outside corner just above the knees.
And then he got him with a fastball. Upton strikes out. They stay loaded. Angels lead it 5-2. D-backs up in the top of the 7th inning. D-backs will take on the Rockies at Chase Field July 20th through the 22nd. First 20,000 fans with us on Saturday the 21st. Get the Jake Lamb bobblehead courtesy of Arizona Milk Producers. Get your tickets and your bobblehead at dbacks.com. Gerard Dyson leads off the D-backs 7th, trailing 5-2. Justin Anderson had been warming up in the Angel bullpen, but Bedrosian's back out there after working a 1-2-3-6. Struck him out. Slider from Bedrosian, his first strikeout, one away.
We've seen a number of these Angels pitchers with that hard, straight down breaking slider. Bedrosian, the latest on the list. That was a really good pitch to Dyson.
John Jay, the leadoff man, singled and scored in the first. D-backs have led this ball game tonight 1-0 and 2-1, but they trail it now 5-2. There's that same slider, throws it up for a strike. Can't lay off. Maldonado quickly back there to recover. Pujols able to corral that one. Second strikeout in the inning for Bedrosian.
Just didn't get quite far enough away from Maldonado for John Jay to reach. Thought maybe that throw would hit John Jay as he was making his way down the first baseline. It looked like Maldonado was lined up right down the baseline as he got to that pitch.
Here's Goldie, 0 for 2 with a walk. D-backs have been out hit 7-3. They trail it 5-2. First inning singles by Jay and Lamb. A 2-out RBI double by Peralta, and that has been it. Both bullpens are busy. Another slider. 0-2. I think it's interesting the way they play Upton so far off the line in left field against Goldie. They did that last night.
Well, that's what the data would say, and I think anybody that watches the Diamondbacks on a regular basis have trouble remembering the last time Goldie pulled the ball down in the left field corner. Occasionally he'll do that, but he generally tries to stay gap to gap, hit it to the big part of the ballpark.
It's not particularly deep out there in left either. If he does pull it down the line, he's likely just to get a double at the most anywhere. Goldie was down 0-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And now he's pulled to Goldie. From 0-2 to 3-2. Well, there's your first base runner against Bedrosian. A 2-out walk will bring up Jake Lamb.
You see Bedrosian out there on the mound, like a lot of pitchers nowadays, kind of hypnotizes himself. Well, we're not going to get to see it again. Looks like Mike Scioscia is going to make a pitching change.
Justin Anderson on his way in back after this.
Cam Bedrosian took a very weak swing at the first slider right there to fall behind 0-1. Bedrosian drops another slider in there for a strike and then misses up with a fastball, misses down with a fastball, tries the slider again off the plate away, and then misses wide with a 92-mile-an-hour heater. Our nationwide vision eye on the game.
And so after that 2-out walk, we get the right-hander Justin Anderson, who threw 27 pitches in the ball game last night, 21 of them strikes. On to face Jake Lamb. He faced Lamb in the 7th inning last night and got Jake to hit into a fielder's choice. Good night for Jake so far. He's had very good at bats. A single, he's walked twice and scored a run.
Need another base runner right here. Get David Peralta to the plate, representing the tying run in the game. And as you said, Jake Lamb's put together 3 good at bats in the ball game tonight. A single in the 1st, walked in the 3rd and the 5th, scored in the 5th.
And Peralta had a base hit against Anderson last night. Fastball in. This guy's a hard thrower, upper 90s. Fastball away at 96, and it's 3-0. Close enough for Jerry Lane. David hoping to get a chance. Missed inside at 97. And the tying run comes up with 2 outs. It's Peralta, who had an RBI double in the 5th. In fact, David has driven in both D-backs runs tonight. The double in the 5th inning. An RBI ground ball back in the 1st. 2 on and 2 out. Starts him off with that slider. Kinsler back on the outfield grass at second. Simmons almost right behind the bag at short. Big cut at that slider up, and it's 0-2.
Boy, really tough to lay off that pitch. You see that off-speed delivery coming at the top of the strike zone. You get a real good look at it. That time David just a little underneath it.
Bounced it up there.
Angels have already had a couple of wild pitches in this ball game. That was a nice block that time by Maldonado. Got that glove down.
Two on and 2 out, a ball and 2 strikes on David Peralta. Got him. We stretch in LA. D-back strand 2. They trail it 5-2. trailing the Angels 5-2. Hey fans, June 27th, the celebration of the D-backs 20th anniversary continues as Fox Sports Arizona brings you a brand new show on the D-backs defense over the years, hosted by Gracie. He caught the baseball. It debuts Wednesday, June 27th, after the D-backs and the Marlins, right here, only here on Fox Sports Arizona.
Well, if anybody's qualified to do a show about Diamondbacks defense, I think Mark Grace would be the guy.
Why is that?
Because he was a great defender at first base. He should know all about defense.
I thought you were going for some other angle there.
No. Gracie could pick it over there at first, handle bunts, pick off throws. Anybody that plays first base when Sean Dunston is the shortstop deserves a Gold Glove.
Andrew Chafin on to face Albert Pujols in the Angels half of the 7th inning. Pujols has a single tonight, 1 for 3. Fastball away is fouled off, and it's 0-2.
Well, the amazing thing about Albert Pujols, we've talked about his career and where he ranks among the greats of all time. I don't think his stance at the plate has changed a bit since 2001 when he got to the major leagues. I mean, it's very identifiable. Nobody else does this. That little short, choppy swing, looks down at the bat, slightly crouched. Has that top hand. The bat is barely wrapped in his fingers. A lot of guys bury the bat down in the palm of their hand. Albert Pujols has that top hand way up in his fingers wrapped around the bat.
There's a good shot of it.
Yeah. Of course, he's got hands like a bear.
There's the Chafin slider, and he strikes out Pujols.
Andrew Chafin in this ball game, even though the Diamondbacks have 3 righties in the bullpen, I think that speaks to the condition of the Diamondbacks bullpen. First pitch slider for a strike, fouls off a heater away. Tried to get him to chase a slider in the dirt a couple of times, and the third time's the charm. Our Nationwide Vision eye on the game. Andrew Chafin punching out a future Hall of Famer.
Both Yoshi Hirano and Archie Bradley have pitched the last 2 nights. Andrelton Simmons hits it foul, first base side, and out of play.
I mean, we mentioned the Angels lineup. Cole Calhoun, the only left-handed batter in the lineup. So if everybody was healthy and ready to go, chances are we'd see a right-hander out of the bullpen. But you always got to think about the next series and the series after that and the series after that. You just can't keep running them out there every night.
Got the off day tomorrow. We travel to Pittsburgh and then a 4-game set at the Pirates, followed by 4 in Miami. Jake Lamb at third in front of Nick Ahmed.
A rare changeup from Andrew Chafin that time. That was a good pitch. Got Simmons way out in front. A little topper to the left side of the infield. I guess if he's going to face more right-handers, he needs to come up with some kind of a weapon, some kind of an off-speed pitch other than that hard slider.
2 down for Cole Calhoun, who homered to lead off the 6th, his 2nd of the year. One against Matt Cook. Numbers on Cole Calhoun, 156 and 2 homers. That is just remarkable. Ketel Marte at second. Nice work by Andrew Chafe and a 1-2-3-7. D-backs trail the Angels 5-2. Steve Berthew, Bob Brenly, Todd Walsh with you. D-backs trail the Angels. Fans, if you can, watch the games on TV. Stream the D-backs live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. It's brought to you locally by Coors Light. Download the free app. Take Fox Sports Arizona. And your D-backs with you wherever you go. A whole bunch of changes for the Angels here as we start the 8th inning. The new pitcher is the right-hander on his 33rd birthday today. It's Blake Parker. The DH, Daniel Descalso, starts it off for the D-backs. Luis Valbuena is the new third baseman, replacing David Fletcher. Fletcher moves from third base out to right field, replacing Cole Calhoun. Calhoun slides over to center, and Chris Young comes out of the ballgame. Descalso 0 for 3, struck out 3 times tonight. Parker, the 5th Angels pitcher of the evening. They've all done a good job. D-backs have only 3 hits. What is going on there?
I don't know.
You don't seem too happy about it.
Oh, it doesn't bother me a bit. I just don't understand, what is the purpose of all that? What useful purpose can there possibly be? Starts from an uncomfortable position, waving his glove and his throwing hand around. He sets, he doesn't set, he sets, and now he's set. That's a lot going on. You know, in this game, so many times when guys struggle, hitting coaches, pitching coaches tell you to simplify. I don't think anybody ever told Blake Parker that.
Do more stuff. Try, you know, kind of grinding the ball in your glove and wiggling around with your feet and your legs. That might work for you. Hey, you're right.
That's a lot of stuff to remember.
Well, he's been a pretty reliable guy for Mike Scioscia. He led the Angels with 71 appearances last year. It was 6th most in the American League. 2-2 on Daniel Descalso. That fastball is low.
Well, you know, the national game, David Ross is in the house tonight. He was a big contestant on Dancing with the Stars. Maybe he's recruiting, and Blake Parker's auditioning for Dancing with the Stars.
Well, it takes 2 to tango. I forgot to ask him about that. Do you watch that show, Dancing with the Stars?
No.
Joan watch it?
No.
All right, good. Well, whatever he's doing, it's working. He strikes out Descalso. 4th time tonight that Daniel is punched out.
Boy, that's an oddity. Daniel Descalso, he'll find a way to scratch out a base hit or a walk against the best in the game. Really odd to see him punch out 4 times in one night.
Here is Ketel Marte. He has walked and twice grounded out, 0 for 2. D-backs had first inning singles from Jay and Lamb. An RBI double in the 5th by Peralta. And that has been all the offense. They led it 1-0 and 2-1. They now trail 5-2. Six D-backs hitters have walked tonight. Only 1 has scored. They've stranded 8 base runners. TJ McFarland getting loose in the D-back bullpen. Lower third of the Angels order due up in the home half of the 8th. Marte chases a fastball down and in. Parker gets his 2nd strikeout. D-backs hitters have now struck out a dozen times tonight. John Ryan Murphy has punched out twice. He's 0 for 3. We're told the reason Chris Young came out of the ball game for the Angels was a hamstring problem. Calhoun is now in center and Fletcher's in right. Valbuena takes over at 3rd.
Chris Young hit that ground ball that Jake Lamb smothered down there at 3rd base and threw from the seat of his pants on 2 hops across the diamond. Young busting it down that line trying to beat it out might have strained his hamstring.
There's Mike Scioscia, former D-backs pitching coach Charlie Nagy. Boy, he is one of the all-time good guys, Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty effective combination that Parker has with that mid-90s fastball and that split finger pitch. A chance to strike out the side ahead of Murphy 1-2. Nick Ahmed would be next. Called strike 3. Well, Blake Parker on his 33rd birthday comes in and strikes out the side. D-backs down 5-2.
Bob, you know, we talk about Todd's Garage or Bob's Garage, but I want to show you something that we had on our pregame show, Diamondbacks Live, earlier today, part of a series in our celebration of the Diamondbacks' 20th anniversary season. This is Brandon Webb's theater room. And I sat down with Brandon and his former catcher, Chris Snyder, and we watched a game of theirs back in 2008. Brandon handpicked that game. It was a game that he said he'll never forget. A huge game in St. Louis, trying to keep their NL West title hopes alive. And the feature that we have in the pregame show that's up on our social media platforms is the final out of the 7th inning. TJ McFarland in here. And it was a strikeout of the soon-to-be MVP of the National League, Albert Pujols, an epic 6-pitch at-bat. He started that at-bat at 115 pitches, and Bob Melvin looked out at him and said, "You're the best I got, go get him," and he did. It was the last win that Brandon would ever have in the major leagues.
Wow, how about that?
Pretty cool to sit and watch a game with a pitcher and catcher 10 years down the road, and what they remember like it was yesterday.
Now, when is that coming on?
We had that on the pregame show today. We'll continue to kind of mine some more features from it, and it's up on our social media platforms hopefully soon.
I would like to see that. That's cool, man.
It was really cool.
Yeah. TJ McFarland on. Martin Maldonado, the Angels catcher, leads off the 8th inning.
You have a theater room?
Excuse me?
A theater room?
No, I barely have a garage.
It's full of string.
String,
yeah.
Rubber bands.
Newspapers. Old sporting news is stacked up to the ceiling.
Yes.
You know that's true, actually.
Sports Illustrated.
Hasn't read them all yet.
There's the can collection. Ticket stubs.
I know you over at the estate must have a music room, a theater room.
got a room where I stash my guitars. My theater room is called Harkins.
Mine's called my living room.
They reserve a seat for you. Boy, Webby lives in style. He's got the theater room. He's got the RV.
Chicken coop.
Chicken coop,
Chickens,
yeah.
Yeah, he's growing those eggplants or whatever he's got in the backyard. Maldonado bangs a single into left. First at bat tonight for Luis Valbuena, who was 0 for 3 at last night's ball game. Came in to play third base in the previous half inning after Fletcher went out to cover right field. 218 and 6 homers.
You see a lot of left-handed hitters when they face a left-handed pitcher, they attack that first pitch they see. They don't want to lengthy at bat against a guy that might drop some nasty breaking balls on them. So first thing close to that strike zone, a lot of lefties are going to hack at it.
A rare low strike that time from Jerry Lane. TJ is going to love getting calls down there. It's 0-2. That's where he lives. D-backs have the shift on. Ahmed, the shortstop, on the first base side of second. Jake Lamb standing in the shortstop spot. Got to keep track of those guys with the ground ball pitcher out there in TJ. Just foul at first. Foul tip. Murphy hangs on, and TJ strikes out Valbuena. One down in the game.
Blew it right by him that time. I mean, TJ's not known for his explosive fastball, but against a left-handed hitter, he had him set up pretty good and busted him inside with that fastball for strike 3.
David Fletcher started off at third base. Moved out to right field. He's got a couple of singles tonight, 2 for 3. Fletcher, a 6th round Angels draft pick in 2015 out of Loyola Marymount.
I think Fletcher picked the right major to be a Major League Baseball player. He majored in psychology. How does that make you feel?
This guy's sitting in his locker all the time. I need to talk.
Well, no question, this is a game that's built around failure. Even the best hitters in the game make out 7 times out of 10, and sometimes it helps to have a little background in psychology to work your way through those tough times.
On the ground, Ahmed gets over there in the hole. What a play by Nick Marte. Can't keep a foot on the bag, and Maldonado is safe at second. Boy, Nick got over there so fast deep in the hole, and we'll make sure that Ketel Marte is all right.
Nick did everything he could to get that lead runner. Quick release as usual from Nick Ahmed. Unfortunately, I don't know. I mean, the foot definitely came off the bag as he stretched out there, but I think when he initially caught it, he may have still had that toe on the base. Tough to tell from the angles that we've seen. Of course, in New York, they have many more angles. Torrey said, let's take a look.
What have you got to lose? It's amazing how quick he can get rid of the baseball.
It really is.
There's a good angle on it. Right there, right? D-backs will challenge. Big Carapazza on the left there, the second base umpire. A reminder, travel day tomorrow. We'll have all 4 games in Pittsburgh for you here on Fox Sports Arizona. Starting on Thursday, Zach Godley against the Pirates' Ivan Nova. D-backs live pregame show at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Occasionally a middle infielder, in this case Ketel Marte, you have to make like a first baseman. Stretch out there as far as you can. Try to keep that foot on the base. Concede that you're not going to get a double play.
Wait for Jerry Lane, the crew chief. Carapazza goes back to the bag, and he is indeed out at second. So the D-backs win another challenge. 2 down now here in the 8th.
It all started with a great play by Nick Ahmed, taking a base hit away, unloading quickly to Ketel Marte just to get the force play right there.
Here's Kinsler. He has homered, walked, and scored twice tonight.
Well, you definitely want this inning to end right here. You don't want to put another runner on base and have to face Mike Trout, Justin Upton, Albert Pujols if it gets that far. This is the out you want to get right here.
Trout has had 9 plate appearances in the series. He's been retired once. TJ scoops it up. Mission accomplished. They get Kinsler. We hit the 9th. D-backs down 3. 5-2. They led it 1-0 and 2-1. The big hit in the ball game. Mike Trout, a bloop into left center field that somehow cleared the bases with the bases full. 3 runs scored. Cole Calhoun tacked on another run with a homer in the 6th, and so the D-backs, as we start the 9th against Blake Parker, trail at 5-2. Ahmed, Dyson, Jay due up 8, 9, and 1.
How about one of those bottom of the order rallies? Get the guys in the 8-9 spot on base and roll around to the top and see what happens.
Valbuena! Luis Valbuena takes a base hit away from Nick Ahmed to start off the 9th. He booted a ball down there last night.
Yeah, went right through the wickets last night. This is a pretty nice diving play. Looked like Nick was going to get one through into left field for a leadoff hit, but Valbuena right there to take it away.
D-backs still with only 3 hits in the ball game. Here's Dyson 0 for 3. Curveball's in there, and it's 0-2. John Jay on deck. Angels really need this win. They've lost 3 straight, 7 of their last 8. They got off to a terrific start this year. They opened up 13-3. But since then, Mike Scioscia's ball club is 7 under 500. John Jay on deck, 1-2 on Jarrod Dyson. Trying to get him to chase that curveball. Dyson doesn't bite. He's even 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fastball down and in just off the plate, but as we said, Jerry Wayne all night long has been expanding that strike zone east and west, and he rings up Dyson.
That's a good take by Jarrod Dyson. Bad strike call by Jerry Lane.
Parker has struck out 4 of the 5 he's faced. Last man standing for the D-backs is John Jay. He singled and scored to lead off the game, 1 for 4. And he punches one the other way. Another base hit for John Jay. And the D-backs are still alive. Boy, Jay has hit safely now in 7 of his last 8 games. 6 of those have been multi-hit games. A chance for Goldie. A couple of former Cardinal teammates reunited there.
Yeah.
Goldie has struck out, flied out. He's walked twice today. D-backs not done yet. Jay will take second unopposed. Goldie hits it deep to right field, and that ball is gone. It's a 5-4 ball game. Don't anybody go anywhere. There's a D-back fan out there who's got it. It's Goldie's 16th.
We talk about that Goldie sound all the time. Boy, did that one make a Goldie sound. A blast to right field. Down over the heart of the plate. Just a missile to right field that time.
His second consecutive game with a homer. He's now got 8 home runs in his last 12 games. A jumbo jack, free jumbo jack tomorrow. A Jack in the Box with the purchase of a large drink. And suddenly Jake Lamb is the tying run at the plate. 2 outs in the 9th. Angels bullpen will get busy. Lamb has reached safely all 4 times he's been up there. A single, 3 walks, he's scored a run. Fastball is there. Jake Jewell, the right-hander, continues to warm up in the Angels bullpen. Here's the split finger pitch. It's a ball and a strike on Lamb. Good take, another splitter. Just floated that one up there. Lamb didn't chase. It's 2-1. Peralta hoping to get a chance. Jake hits it deep to left field, up and backing up near the track, and he runs it down. That's the ball game. Parker hangs on, and the D-backs settle for a split in this 2-game set. The Angels take it 5-4.
Yeah, just couldn't get anything going offensively until late against the Angels bullpen. Mike Scioscia has to be ecstatic with what he got out of his bullpen tonight.
The Angels used 5 pitchers. They hang on and win it 5-4. More for the Big A in Anaheim right after this.